Listen, I've seen this live. Supposedly, growing up, during those ages that you can't really account for, supposedly I had the Broadway recording on VHS and had memorized, and all I have to say is...
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question on the grounds that it might tend to incriminate me.
Okay, let me ask you this. What color's my...
On the advice of counsel...
But it was probably the music that entranced me as a kid. And had me singing like iCarly.
Memory all alone in the moonlight.
So knowing that Andrew Lloyd Webber had already seeped into my young subconscious growing up, I came in prepared for this adaptation, I was as sober as can be going in to watch it. I was on the job. I didn't want to miss a glitch. Because sadly, while they boasted about having the choreographers from Hamilton, Taylor Swift with a new original song that she had the rights for, and all of these insane dancers and cast from around the globe, they forgot the part where they're supposed to finish the movie before it gets released.
I finished it at 8 a.m. yesterday after 36 hours in a row to put the finishing touches on. Well, I mean, premiere should be the first time people get to see it, and this is genuinely a premiere.
Let me explain. So for those who don't know, there are actually two versions of Cats as of now. Oscar-winning director Tom Hooper was working on this at a frat boy pace, probably because he thought it would be smart to CGI fur onto every actor on set.
These are people, but they're cats, and this is kind of blowing my mind.
The movie that first hit theaters wasn't even complete, but I'm pretty sure the ticket price needed to be paid in full in order for you to enter to watch this mess. Just like Paramount, which ruined a company because Twitter made them redo Sonic at his speed. Show Dogs, which had to edit out a Me Too scene involving a dog opening weekend. Cats decided to send out a graphics patch out 2 days after the movie was released in order to fix human hands, feet going into the ground like a video game, missing fur, plot, misplaced fur, story, deformed fur. Now granted, they didn't make this one for the critics. They made it for I don't know who, but as someone who allegedly grew up watching the recording of the play, I can tell you I'm aware that cats don't have human teeth. I've been to enough stage productions in my day to know the differences between plays and movies. I'm aware this is supposed to be the donkey from Shrek. I'm aware Hamilton really looked like this. So to see a movie just face swap the actors onto deformed human feline hybrids because they had top billing, it's a catastrophe.
This is all computer generated. So every single piece of fur is added by a computer. It's technology that's never, ever been used.
But why? Didn't the Broadway play have an extensive run where they put on their own makeup flawlessly day after day? Didn't even Leona Lewis and an actual pussycat doll do this? So, in case you don't want to get this spoiled as I'm about to get into it, in case you don't know what version of Cat you're getting into, just know there's no way in fixing this mess. Spoilers for Cats. They added human Now, when it comes to the plot of Cats, a lot of people seem to be very confused with it.
I guess it's about a cat.
Maybe more than one.
Cats.
It could be because I've reportedly seen it a few times, but I think it's pretty simple. T.S. Eliot had different poems and stories about cats that he had written. Andrew Lloyd Webber was like, oh, those are great. So he wrote music over them, and 40 years later, people are still complaining about it. But since the plot is carried by the songs, I figured it's best to just go through the characters, since every song is pretty much an intro track for each of the cats.
I never knew I'd love this world they let me in.
So the lead is played by Francesca Hayward, who's never been in a movie before. And I think she's the best one in this movie. She's this estranged cat who gets dumped onto the set, and she's just as confused as everyone else who's watching the movie. Each cat that she meets introduces themselves by song, and they're hyping up this Jellicle ball where they pull a talent show, are then not judged by their talents, and Dame Judi Dench gets to pick who goes to cat heaven. Or so I've heard. But considering Francesca's a principal dancer in the Royal Ballet, her dancing was obviously going to be great in the movie. It's an art that speaks through body movement and not a voice. But when you're covered in unfinished CGI, what's the point? Everyone's dancing their hearts out, but then they're rendering effects on top of what should be fluid motion. I don't want the dancer on the left side of the screen while the fur is still on the right side. It's like going to somebody's house and it looks beautiful, but it smells like crap. You're not going to want to stay. So it sucks that a lot of the choreography has been overshadowed literally by the visual effects. As for Francesca, add the idea of having to hear your intro song that you have to perform live, that was never written before, an original song, for the first time on set, and I just have to say, props, Francesca. I hope your next one goes better.
When Andrew and I ended up writing this song, the only way to really play it for her, because we were just rushing. We had written it the day before. I came in and we had the sheet music made up, and so we had to, sing it live for her.
It's a dreadful day.
Terrible for her.
What did that feel like?
I mean, I've had so many pinch me moments in this whole film, but I think that was, for me, like one of the most surreal days, having a private concert from Taylor of a song that you'd written for me, for my character.
Now let me be positive before I get into...
So Judi Dench was in cat school?
Yeah.
I liked the sound mixing. Sometimes. There were moments where it was just better for me to close my eyes, because, like I said, I'm not kidding you, I think the music is catchy, and they don't do a bad job with the movie's recordings of them, but it's like when you finally watch the music video to a song you really like, and it kind of ruins it for you. I feel bad for the twins, because they were also just in Men in Black International Disappointment, and it sucks, because I think they're mad talented, but their agent keeps bugging them dookie. Mr. Mistopheles is an interesting character who takes Victoria under his wing and become cat lovers by the end, but he also does magic that no one really takes seriously, until the end when they need it, and he pulls through, yet still doesn't get the MVP award at the Jellicle Bowl. I also thought he was played by Robert Pattinson the entire movie till I realized it wasn't, so sorry, Laurie. No, really? Sorry, Laurie. Visually, the only defense I'll give this demented hybrid is that Cats has always been weird, so I expect it to also look weird when it's a movie. It just continues it, and as much as we all want to hate it, and rightfully so, this is an experiment that will not be forgotten. 2019 has been the year of visual innovation. They thought if one live-action animation with cats did well, then they could do it. Ang Lee shot Willy in 120 frames, so they got to go to CGI off Derulos. And look, while this movie has given one perfect shot enough content for the next 365, I'm sorry, I'm already not a fan of Tom Hooper for making me watch a fifth of the screen when I paid for a full ticket. And this time the movie wasn't even done.
I wasn't too surprised. We saw our mock-ups. I think the first time we saw our ears and our tails, that was pretty wild. Yeah. But when Avatar came out, they were like, what is that? That is the creepiest thing I've ever seen. But that movie ended up doing pretty well. And I think it's so great to have a movie musical get so much buzz.
Honey, I'm not even a fan of Avatar, but that was a technological achievement. At least they finished their renders. They at least altered the human hands and feet in Pandora.
You guys had to take cat classes.
Cat school.
Cat school. Cats.
Cat school.
Cat school.
Cat lessons.
Cat school. And how does a human become a cat?
Well, you crawl around on the floor and you pretend to be a cat.
Are you ready to smell our butts?
So what you realize is all about the shoulders.
Yeah.
Who teaches you to be a cat?
So we had a cat behavioural specialist.
Our cat mistress, Miss Sarah, would run in and give me some direction, and she'd just go, more cat, more cat.
We literally did cat school like every day.
I was in cat school a lot.
There's a lot of licking.
I licked Jason Derulo.
But that wasn't in the script.
Yeah.
We all went to cat school.
Well, I didn't go much to cat school.
This is what y'all got a tax break for?
Is navigating...
All right, hold on 1 second.
Go for it. Just polish it.
There's a little dust on my name.
There we go.
Get that.
Okay, so the next cat is...
Hey, how you doing? My name is Jason Derulo.
This man plays a hypersexualized cat named Rum Tum Tugger who is addicted to the spotlight, wants to lick every female kitten, and repeats his name a lot. So in other words, he's... Jason Derulo. Luckily, I'm not allowed to critique his performance since, I haven't made a movie where the actors' feet go into the ground while they're dancing, so I guess you're right, Jason Derulo.
It just don't matter, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the people are going to go see it, and it's going to be a deportation to another dimension.
GQ's sexiest person of the year, Idris Elba, is also in this movie, literally meowing his way out of scenes. Like, he's also a magician who has the power to teleport others and even himself, like Goku, and in one of them, he literally his way out of this movie. It's like that Beauty and the Beast scene. He's also competing to win the Jellicle Ball, because it's kind of implied that this is their way of redeeming those 9 lives. So you got James Corden's cat, who wants to win because he's gotten so fat, he wants to restart in a skinny body. Jennifer Hudson's Grisabella wants a second chance. And I'm assuming Idris just wanted to come back not shaved like a Ken doll.
Molly, I have no genitals.
Like, I get he's the bad guy, but the moment a wild furry Elba appeared with no coat, mind you, and just so you know, he was wearing a coat throughout the entire movie, meaning that while the rest of the community may have been nudist, you, sir, had set a precedent in covering up. So when this man, Cat, appears butt-ass naked with no Jellicle balls, man, look, I found a clip, and at first I censored it because I didn't want to spoil the surprise that is this visual. Then I realized I should probably keep it censored so my channel doesn't get flagged.
Cats.
Listen, I actually like Taylor Swift's music, even if she's always trying to play the underdog. She wrote an original song for the movie, since the character Victoria never had a song of her own. Her dad, interestingly enough, was the person to suggest that Bumble Arena should catnip everyone. And Taylor herself is a cat lady.
You have 2 cats at home.
So when I got 3 now.
3?
Yeah.
Okay,
That said, she's barely in it, considering she comes out in the 3rd act to help McCavity. And yet USA Today decided to write an entire article for every time she breathes in those 5 minutes. Bruh, y'all had more ads in one article than she did words in the movie. I really do like her song in the film, though it's very clear they rushed the movie so that the song could be eligible for an Oscar. Like, it's very obvious. There was even a good amount of promo from Swift that she was doing leading up to the movie. And then, like McCavity, as soon as the movie dropped, all of her promos just magically disappeared. You have a better chance catching Emma Watson touring with the other Little Women.
You can't write a modern lyric for Cats. So like if you can't get T.S. Eliot, like get T.S. I'm here for you.
She would go on to not make the Oscar shortlist for the song. Shortly after, Cats would pull their entire awards push off of the site. Yet it made it for visual effect. Listen, Rebel, I have sat through a lot of your movies. I went and supported Isn't It Romantic. I've sat through all these forgettable, cringy, repetitive comedies every year. So why do you have to visually assault us like this? Seeing Rebel Wilson just reenact her pitch perfect moves in a CGI fursuit, it's a no for me.
So when humans walk, they use opposite arms, opposite legs. But when cats walk, they use the same arm, same leg.
Except for all the times in the movie when they, don't. This was supposed to be an animated movie at first, if you didn't know. Why they didn't keep it that way? I mean, like, actually keep it really animated? I know it's still animated. I don't know. There is no going back after you see the cockroach scene. Like, I don't understand how Night at the Museum handles this perspective better. And that was done a decade ago.
These are people, but they're cats, and this is kind of blowing my mind.
Honestly, I'll say this about James Corden and Jennifer Hudson. They've at least done the most press for the movie. They're out there trying to support it and are even making fun of the fact that, the visual effects were out of their hands. And as much as I hated Corden's character in the movie in particular, I gotta give it to Corden and Wilson for finding a way to make money while just sitting on their ass.
So us two, we collude and we're like, let's get the most comfortable position on the set because we're going to be able to be here for days.
Yeah.
And then we just sat there.
We sat there for 2 days straight.
And then there is Sir Ian McKellen.
I'll tell you about critics. They're not always right, and these critics haven't even seen what they're criticising. The cheek of it. They haven't seen it. Nobody's seen it. We've not seen it. Take my word from it, as someone who's seen the cut, the finished cut, although not yet with all the fur. It is mind-blowingly entertaining.
Sir, you didn't even go to cat school, Ian. I'll take this time to add a bit about Star Wars and how it's intruded cinema. Some of y'all will remember when Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, which he shot in 70mm, couldn't be played in the only theaters who could host it because Disney had scooped up every screen they possibly could for Star Wars. It's been an issue we've covered in other videos where Disney forces theaters to occupy most of their screens with their blockbusters or else they won't let them screen it. So tell me how Universal's Cats intruded a Star Wars movie. Obviously, the release date for Episode 9 was, ready before the script even was. So Universal trying to slip it in there around the same time that's coming out is so funny. These fools really booked booked the critics screening for Cats to be on the same day as Chapter 9 of the Star Wars saga. A24 didn't even try this hard to bury Silver Lake. But get this, their reasoning for the counter-marketing against Star Wars was that they wanted to attract all of the young women demographic. Against the movie that has the literal strongest woman in the galaxy. Cats had Dame Judi Dench in a pimp's fur coat. What's interesting is that she was actually supposed to be in the original stage production, but then got hurt right before the premiere, so as fate would have it, she ended up playing a part years later. So I don't know what she did with fate. Now, originally, another cat was supposed to win the Jellicle Ball, because, again, it's a talent show where you don't get picked for your talents, but your merits. But then a cat who rescues her also doesn't even get picked. Instead, it ends up being Jennifer Hudson's cat, Grisabella, who wasn't even there for her arrival. This cat hasn't contributed to the community. She don't pay her cat taxes, yet she wins the ball. Now, a fan of Cats may argue that the point of the story is community. And realizing in the case of Grisabella that our past doesn't define us. After being shunned by the community for partnering with McCavity, it's another loner who reaches out to her and allows her to have a literal rebirth so that she could start brand new as long as we're all looking out for each other. Or, sorry, I've heard. The movie ends actually with Judi Dench giving a long speech to the audience about cat pronouns. And I thought I was kidding until I looked it up. Overall, Garfield did it better. I thought Climax put me through hell, but Cats makes the lighthouse feel like a daydream. It's more claustrophobic than Mother. Technology has allowed us to create some of the most insane imagery we could ever imagine. And sometimes we wish we didn't. They were so caught up on if they could, nobody ever asked if they should. This entire movie's budget, just for the marketing, could have funded the entire dramatic competition at Sundance. Hell, the lodging for everybody who attended too. And now they're in debt. To think that this man wrote Jesus Christ as a superstar, and even that movie got a better score than this one, I guess it's safe to say Dogs Up won this season.
And I'll tell you another thing. When Cats opened on Broadway, the stage musical, it didn't get very good reviews. Oh, hello. 40 years later.
Guess I'll wait 40 years then. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I think I still have that 90s recording back home. Supposedly, reportedly, allegedly, I saw that all the time. But I did decide to go see the play. It was like one of the final showings that we're having in Chicago. And I'll say this about the play. It still doesn't make any sense, but they come out to you, which that scared the hell out of me when that happened. I had no idea what was going on either, but at least I can see that as being more appealing than the movie because it doesn't overshadow. There's no CGI in the performances, so you can actually see the performers, perform. It's just, not the taste for everybody, especially this one wasn't. And I know there's been arguments that people just don't like the aesthetic. Again, I don't think it's just taste. The aesthetics weren't finished. There's design, and then there's inconsistency on what size the props and the people are. I don't know. It was a mess. If you got the chance to see it, I sincerely apologize, but there is at least going to be a lot of other upcoming musicals this following year. Hopefully all of those are done better. I know a lot of them are remakes, some of them are brand new adaptations. My most anticipated easily would be In the Heights. I rarely like mentioning anticipated movies because I don't want to get disappointed, but man, I am so hyped up for that one. So let me know your thoughts on Cats, your PTSD, any of the other stuff, any therapists you recommend, and any other musicals you think should be on our radar. And until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and they'll make a Cats land at Universal.